So yeah, I can give you guys like a little rundown of kind of how uh things got started. If you guys can stay later, I know like I intended to already be doing like the Q&A portion of this, but I played the wrong file, way wrong file for that. But so I'll tell you kind of how like what my thought process was for making this film. So I was kind of, as soon as I graduated college, I was kind of like Veda, the main character, like just very confused on like what to do, what the next step was in my life, like what my career move was going to be, like what I was going to be doing. And so um, I decided to like start writing because that was always like therapeutic for me. And I had been making like films and a web series and everything like that in college. And so I was like, well, I'll start writing a script. And I was watching at the time I was just binge watching YouTube videos like all day, every day, because like I didn't really have a job, so I was just like, chilling, watching videos. And so then I thought about it, I was like, this I've watched somebody's life like unfold in these vlog channels that I'm like habitually watching. And so I started like creating a story around that, just like thinking about like social media culture, YouTube culture, how how it tends to like distort your vision of reality. And so that's kind of why that was the beginning, the very beginnings of Clout. And then I workshopped the script with a writers group, which was another like probably like 6 months to a year like in the process of writing the script. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, well, probably never going to be able to like make this, so I'll just whatever. But then as the like pandemic kept going and I saw other people doing things and continuing to make work, I was like, why not try to make it? It's a small enough film, it's a small enough idea that I can probably afford to make this myself. And so I like got the actors together, started getting like doing all the producing work, and things just kind of like fell into place. And it took about another oh, sorry, stop that. But it took another like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months to get everything together to start shooting, and then we didn't wrap shooting until like 2021. So that's kind of the process of Clout. And now it's 2022, and I'm still like submitting it to film festivals and screening at different places and like doing all kinds of things with the actual like finished film now. So yeah, I hope that was a good overview of like of the process and how things went.
Yeah,
Anybody?
I loved it, Courtney. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I think I was trying to think of a good question to ask, so this is what I came up with.
Okay.
um, I think I thought it like an interesting topic slash theme maybe was like the relationship of like social media and like mental health.
Yeah.
Like I found the whole it kind of ironic that she's promoting this like antidepressant thing. Like I just had a sense of irony to all of that. But do you think like what do you think about the relationship of social media and mental health? Like positive, negative, both?
I think that, well, obviously in this film, I think that it went south for Beta very quickly because she just never got the like mental health check that she needed. She just started using YouTube as a way to like cover or like cope, you know? So um I tend to think that your mental health can suffer because of social media if you use it too much. But I think it can be positive in a way too, because I use social media now to promote something that I'm really passionate about, which is filmmaking. So I don't know if that totally answers your question, but it's like a double-edged sword. Like it depends on your use and how you allow it into your life. And like as we saw in the film, Veda allowed it into her life in a very invasive, like problematic way, you know? Yeah.
I think that was very, very well put. Um, and I agree. Social media could be so good and serve so many purposes, but then at the same time, that double-edged sword comes out, and it can have very negative impacts. So I really thought the film brought that out, how it can be used for either.
Right.
Um, so I thought you did a great job.
Thank
I
you.
loved some of the effects as well.
Thank
It
you.
was just great.
Well, I edited this film myself also. So like I didn't put it in the credits. I probably because it would have been annoying. It would have been like Courtney, 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 Courtney for like all of this stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I think I have just like written by, edited by, and like the big stuff. But yeah, so I appreciate that for the effects because I was like very basic effects. Like I'm not like as skilled as some people are, but I appreciate the recognizing my editing work. I appreciate that. And yeah, to your point, I think that mental health is definitely something that I think is on the radar now. It used to not be like even when I was like in high school, I don't remember like conversations being very serious about mental health and it affecting your life seriously. But now, of course, like we realize that it's as important as your physical health. And like for Veda, because it just goes unchecked for so long, she ends up having like kind of this like breakdown that never really gets checked. You know what I mean? I that's
Exactly.
kind of what I that's kind of how I wrote the film is she's just unchecked. She just goes until she does something really horrific at the end, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. No, and to your point, it definitely is talked about more now than has in the past.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing because I
Yeah.
think, especially after COVID, I think COVID had, the lockdowns had a really profound
Mhm.
effect on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, and it's good to see that companies are even starting to realize and making that a part of their benefits package.
Yeah.
And having like mental awareness, mental health awareness months and stuff like that, because there has, been such a stigma around that. No one ever talked about it because, oh no,
Yeah.
So I think this film like would help with that as well.
Yeah. I think especially for like younger people because I think sometimes people just like jump into social media and don't
Mhm.
think about how it affects their health either, you know? And social media has been a theme in like most of my artwork, even like videos, like shorter videos I've made, photographs I've made, all that stuff. Like social media is something I'm really interested in. And it's because it's like the new landscape. It's like you don't really live without social media. Like, I mean, you guys found this via social media, you know? So like it's so entwined in our lives now that it has like almost become the culture in a way. So I find it really interesting, like the just how it's like it can be positive, but it's also like really seeping into our lives in like problematic ways, you know. So yeah.
Well, and I think too, you're targeting a broad range of audiences.
Mm,
Definitely, younger people who are very social media savvy, can relate to it.
mm,
But as a parent, we're not as exposed to it.
yeah.
I shouldn't say that because we do use it, but not to the extent, and we didn't have it as a part of our life like most of, the young adults nowadays. So it was kind of eye opening to see just what an impact it can, have on someone. So I think that's just another thing that the film brought out.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't
Enlightened parents.
for sure. I think I didn't really like write this with a target like age demographic in mind. I was trying to just create, I guess, the best character that I could for Veda because I see her sort of like she's sort of like you guys read The Great Gatsby. Everybody's read The Great Gatsby, right? But I think about her like him because he just he achieved so much and but he like it was like ill-gotten gold. Like he wasn't able to reconcile his past with his present, you know. And
Hmm.
I just see Veda the same way. Like she wasn't able to really heal from her past or like learn how to, manage her mental health from her past. And so now she's like in the future, her future self, where she's successful. She's a really successful person, beyond what most people achieve. And then you know, because she never got the mental health help she needed, she keeps doing really problematic things. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So that's sort of what I was thinking about with her character. I admittedly wasn't thinking as much about mental health, although I did. That's kind of the basis of it. And then I kind of put the mental health in like as satire because so much like of social media, people will get on the internet and like, record themselves crying and like showing, raw emotions. And I just think that's so interesting that like you're having a very deeply personal moment, but you want to share it with the world, you know? So I
Exactly.
wanted to definitely put that in there. It's like a conflicting thing, like, you know, personal versus public, you know?
And I was thinking, to what extent do we often go to like be seen and like be known? Because she's obviously wanting to be seen and be known, like
Yeah.
but like to what point do we do that and it's like our total detriment? And then at what point do we decide, no, we don't want people to know us and see us anymore? Like our darkest parts, I guess.
Yeah.
I logged late, but that's kind of what I was thinking. And I liked seeing the numbers ticking.
Oh, that's great, because that's exactly what I intended to do. So you got it. That's amazing. No, it's always great for me to hear because I'm like in a dark room doing this stuff like alone. And then, when you like send it out, you're like, thank God somebody gets it. I didn't spend 8 months of my life on this and then they don't get it. But so yeah, no, that's exactly like what I meant to do. Like, that's why I wanted the viewers ticking, is because, and that's the beginning of that scene. She's like, make sure you tell everybody you know to watch. I want to get to 1 million viewers. Like, so she wants people to see her doing this act, which it's kind of that like dramatic irony too, because she knows what's about to happen. She's the only one who knows. The audience is just kind of watching this unfold, like, and it's sort of like watching a train wreck. Well, it is watching a train wreck, and but the only one who's like aware of it is Veda or Bella at that point. So yeah, that was definitely the intention, is to show her, she's like really interested in having people see her and see her behavior, no matter how bad it is, Yeah.
I think like there were a lot of points during the film where I was like I had to like remember that like she was choosing after the fact to like post this, and I think that gave it a whole other level of
it's like eerie.
Yeah, like the whole engagement thing was so awkward, and then I'm like cringing, but then I'm like, wait, she like literally chose to post this after and just like, be dramatic and theatrical about it and stuff. And so it kind of added another level.
Yeah, for sure. It was hard to shoot this in this style, because you have to make sure everything makes sense for what a YouTuber would be shooting for themselves. So there's certain like plot points and things like that you can't necessarily like include in there, or you have to shoot things differently when you work solely from that like angle. So that was something a little bit tricky that we had to work through or work on as we kept shooting. But eventually we like got into a rhythm, and it was like, well, would she do this? Let's change this if we need to, because we had the script, so we could change it very, very quickly. And I'm the writer, so I can just cross it out if I don't want to like shoot that, So, but yeah, that was definitely the intention. And I think it just adds that other like eerie level of like, she's okay with like her boyfriend proposing to her rejecting him, and then posting about it, like creating this whole like almost like a cinematic way of telling that story, and like putting it out there so people can like consume it the way she wants them to. Like, she's kind of, I don't know, it's like she's kind of demented. I think it's interesting.
I want to know, Courtney, what was your favorite part of the whole process?
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead. What'd you say?
Like a really long one, like long and kind of broken up. So like, yeah, what was the best part and what was the most challenging part?
The best part was definitely the cast and crew, and I guess production, like actually shooting. That was the best part. That was probably the most stressful part, because that's like having to plan and like make sure things are like together to even begin shooting, and then Like, I don't know how many like 4 a.m. nights I had like in relationship to this project. So I think that was but the best part of that was definitely bonding with the cast and crew. And like, I still talk to them to this day, and I'm hoping to be able to be talking to them until like I'm dead. You know what I mean? So like, that was the best part. It's just like building the relationships with people and like, you know, even hoping to work with them in the future and things like that. So that was the best part. But the challenge was definitely just the producing stuff, like planning. Like at one point, the final scene, I didn't know we were going to shoot that. I was like, where am I going to get like a mansion on like $500? I don't know where we're going to get that. But thank God for Airbnb, because you can rent out people's houses very easily. And people are like willing to work with you if you kind of, you know, you explain things and you tell them like, I'm an artist and like you know, this is a small project. We're not going to have too many people. Oh, and another thing, COVID was also a challenge because we started shooting this at the end of 2020. And that's kind of when everything had just like kicked off for COVID. And so we definitely had to keep everything very small. Like, as you can see, there's really three main actors. There's Veda, Ellie, and Ty's character. So that's basically it, who's like the main, you know, voices in the film. And then even like the extras were very like small groups of extras, shooting in places that were still open, available to the public. That became somewhat of a challenge, but it was like, because like you're passionate about what you're doing, you kind of grin and bear it. Yeah. That's another actually note that I want to make. The actors worked very hard and they worked with me for many long hours and many months too, because we weren't filming like every day for like 5 months. It was like we would film usually 2 weekends out of the month. And only really Friday and Saturday at a certain point. No, Saturday and Sunday at a certain point. So like we had to pack in like a bunch of scenes into those 2 days, which meant like hours and hours of shooting basically. Yeah, and they were always willing to like answer my texts in the middle of the week. And when I was like, can you do this? Can we change this? Can you put this on? Can you make sure you have this for this weekend? So when you make an independent film, it's like all hands on deck. So the actors have to like bring stuff, you bring stuff, maybe the actors like talk to somebody about a location or whatever. Like everybody kind of combines resources to make the project happen. So like when I'm thanking the actors, I'm really thanking them because they did so much, like more than even what an actor would normally do for this film. And they were so gracious about it. And like, that's why we say honestly in contact, like to this day. So.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna sign up for another one.
Cool. Yes. And you can, you know, come up with some more questions to ask. I'm happy to answer them and discuss the film, because one thing, like when you write these things, it's nice when people are actually like get involved and have like serious questions to ask, because sometimes people are like, oh, that was great. And like, but did you see it? Did you really see what I intended to put in there, you know? Because it's not like, you don't like spend 2 years doing something to be like, oh yeah, I liked her outfit. And like, that's it, you know? So yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? Anything else you want to discuss? Anything you thought was interesting or just want to bring up? No? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and doing this first screening. I'm thinking about taking this Q&A portion of the video and putting it up on like Facebook, probably YouTube, or maybe like Instagram or something. Just like Q&A portion as like a little teaser for the screenings. So hopefully more people will want to come and participate. If you guys would be cool with that. Cool.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys leave the meeting first and then I'll clear the meeting out. But thank you guys so much for coming and being a part of this and liking the film. I appreciate that too. That's always great. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of Sunday. I know it's later on the East Coast if you guys are on the East Coast, but I hope you have a great Sunday and great rest of the week.
All right. Well,
bye,
thank you.
guys.
All
You're
the best.
welcome. Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.